Hello everyone, welcome to Card Making Fundamentals and welcome to the Celebration Station Classroom. Thank you so much for joining me for lesson 2 of this month's card making classroom. Today we are going to create another fun celebrate card, and we're going to go over the supplies that we need to create it. I have my lesson kit here. We're going to also need scissors. We're going to need a stamping block along with some black ink. I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink because we are going to use Copic markers to color in some of the birthday packages that are in our stamp set. I'm using the same colors that I used for lesson number 1, and those are, I have a little swatch here. BG32, BG10, R81, R83. I have YG03, YG06, RV25, and RV29. Now, of course, I'm using Copic markers. That's why I mentioned those numbers. But you can use any markers as long as you have 2 colors. You just need a light and a dark, basically. So I'm going to use the same Copic markers as I did for our first project. I actually keep them in my little, it's my super mom cup. My kids got me this last year, and I use it to store my markers because it's not dishwasher safe. It's not microwavable either, but it's nice to store pens in, so that's what I use for my pens. You're also going to need, sometimes I ramble, sorry guys, but you're also going to need a adhesive runner, and then you're also going to need your glue. And that's it. Okay, let's set these aside except for our ink and our acrylic block. We are going to do a little bit of coloring, so we're going to open up our lesson kit. We're going to take everything out of this one, and this one I did add a little bag and to store our sequins in. But in here we have a piece of white cardstock. We're going to use this for our stamping, so we will bring this out along with our stamp set. In the stamp set there is a gift or a little present. We're going to take that and we're going to stamp this 3 times on our white cardstock. Let me find it. This card would actually work really good with the birthday cake too. So if you wanted to switch out the presents for a birthday cake, you could very well do that. I'm going to stamp my present. If your stamps are going to be new, so you'll want to kind of season it a little bit. They're photopolymer, which is going to stamp great anyway, but going over it with your hand makes it so the ink doesn't bead up. But I'm going to stamp the present 3 times, and I'm going to clean off my stamp with my stamp chamois here and put this back. Kind of tricky removing that plastic wrap here. Okay, put that back. How's your guys' day going so far? I'm excited because spring is in the air. This year I want to plant a garden. I am in a raised bed garden. I don't like to deal with weeds, so I'm hoping a raised bed garden will be a nice family project for our backyard. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit more because the presents are a little bit small. Now we're going to color in our presents. I want to start off with my lighter teal. This is BG10, and I'm going to go over the background of the present for our first one. I'm not going to go over the polka dots. We're just going to go around them. And then on this next one, I'm going to color in the bow. And then on this one, I'm going to use that same marker and color in the polka dots. Coloring is going to be really easy because the presents are pretty small. Yeah, I'm going to color in the polka dots on the one with the bow too. I colored in the bow bottom. I almost forgot that part. And let's color in the polka dots for this one too. Okay, Now I'm going to take my R81, it's my lightest pink, and I'm going to color in the bow on this first present. And then I'm also going to color in the present on this part. Kind of hard skipping over all those little polka dots, but it's worth it because your dots are a little bit more vibrant. Okay, now I'm going to take my darker, my R83, and we're going to do a little bit of shading. I'm going to add a line on the opposite end of the ribbon here, just kind of highlighting it, and then darken up the area around the bow. Gives it the illusion of a little bit of depth. And then on the bow, I'm going to draw a line on the inside of the bow on the bottom, right here, and then I'm going to color in the middle. And that's all I'm going to do with my darker pink. Now we're going to color in, let's see, let's color in this present here with the darker teal. I'm using BG32, and we'll color this in with the darker teal. So the base of our present is darker. Lovely. And I'm going to add a little bit of highlighting around the bow on this present. There. Maybe it's a little bit better. Hope it's not blurry. Now for the bow on this one, we're going to color it in green. I'm using YG03. Lovely. And then for the present on this one, I'm going to color in those polka dots with green, with my darker green, BG06. Okay. I'll do my darker green, I'll highlight this bow here. You know what, I think I want to bring in, I'm going to stamp my present one more time. I want to bring in some of my darker pink. Let's see. Let's stamp it one more time. Sorry guys, bear with me. It's just we have this darker pink pattern paper and I want to bring in some darker pink for my bows. So let's color in with our RV25, our present. Okay. And what color are we going to use for the bow? We'll add dark green for the polka dots. And then I'll add the light teal, BG10, for the bow. and I think that's going to work out great. Okay, 4 presents. I think we're going to use these 3 for the top of our card. So let's take our scissors. I'm going to zoom back out. And we're going to fussy cut our bows. We're going to fussy cut our presents. I'm going to fussy cut all of them because this one on the bottom that we're not going to use, the all teal one, we could put that on the inside of our card. I'm going to cut around it just so we have a little bit of a white border. And that's one. Go ahead and go around our bow. It's pretty easy to fussy cut. And number 2. Oops, I dropped it. I'm amazed I can find it. My floor is up in card baking. So my floor is, usually I brush everything on my craft room floor, and then at the end of the day I'll sweep it all up. So that's the one we're going to put on the inside, and then we have the rest here. Okay, now we have to take our card elements. We're going to start with our pattern paper. Make sure your card base opens the right way. And then I'm going to take this pattern paper. We're going to flip it around, use our tape runner, and adhere this to the front of our card. Making sure it's centered, because this tape runner it's not forgiving. It's not a lift up kind of a tape runner. It's once it's down for good. You can see here. Okay. Let's try this better. So that is our first card, or our panel down. Now we're going to take these 2 pieces of pattern paper. There are stickers, which makes it so nice. So I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to fishtail the bottom of both of these. People fishtail differently. I don't mind going from one corner to the other, but some people will cut a slit in the middle and then go side to side. So however you want to fishtail is easiest for you. We're just going to go ahead. Yes, of course, when I say that, my fishtail doesn't turn out so good. That's how it goes, right? Okay. So we have 2 fishtail banners. Now I'm going to take one of them, and I'm going to remove the release paper. This is the one with the loopies. Oh, well, I didn't know that was 2. And then this is going to go on this side of our card base, about a 1/2 inch from the left of our card base. Once this is adhered down, we'll remove the release paper off of our second fishtail banner. And then this is going to go overlapping on our first, all the way to the top, about a 1/2 inch over, and then we're going to adhere our second one. So I didn't get too straight. So it looks like that. If you have any overhanging the top, you can trim it off with your scissors, but there is our fishtail banners. Okay, now we have adhesive backed fun foam, and then we have these 2 pieces that kind of look a little bit funny. You want to flip them around to where And that one's not a very straight edge. If I didn't cut a straight edge, you might want to use your scissors to cut a straight edge on these. Okay, you want to turn these around so the shorter dots are to the left. I had to figure that one out. Okay, now we have our Celebrate brads. You're going to take 2 of them. Okay, just drop 2 of these out. Some of them might be a little bit bent, and that's just fine because they straighten out very easy. They're thin metal. You can just straighten them out. Okay, so we have 2 Celebrate brads. We're going to go ahead and take the Celebrate brad and add it to the, not the first hole, the second hole on both of these. And you want to make sure that it's kind of centered on your white cardstock, and then open up the back pieces and kind of making sure it's flat. And then I'm going to take my scissors and just trim off the back of the brads that are overhanging. They cut really easy. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so that's one. We're going to do the same thing to our next one. We're going to put it in the second hole here. Make sure it's in the center. Open up those prongs on the back. You can even flatten it down here. And then use your scissors and cut off the overhanging prongs. Okay, so we have Celebrate. Nice texture on our cards. Now, if your Celebrate wants to twist, that's okay because we're going to end up tacking this down. In fact, we'll do that right now. We're going to flip this around, and then we're going to use our tape runner, and we're going to add, oh, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. We're going to take our tape runner, going to add some adhesive behind here. And then for the longest Celebrate, we're going to use the green pattern paper, and we're going to just line this up. And it's going to put this in the center. It's going to leave us a little bit of a border. Straighten out your Celebrate. And then press down. Should be good to go. So we're sandwiching the brad behind there. If you have a little bit overhanging like I do, take your scissors and trim that off. Okay, so that's our first one, and we're going to do the same thing with the shorter Celebrate tab, and then we're going to line this up from left edge to left edge though. We're going to flip it over, add some adhesive. If you want to even go over that hole there, you can. Line it up to the edge, straighten out your Celebrate, and then you can press down. And we're good. Okay, now with this one, we're going to fishtail the end about the same spacing as it is on this end. So we'll just fishtail this. Okay. Now once we have that done, we have our adhesive backed fun foam. Let's go ahead and remove the release paper. Adhere the longer piece behind the longer Celebrate, and then the smaller piece behind the smaller Celebrate. And then those are good to go. Now, in our goodie package, we have some colored brads. We're going to break these out, and we want the red one and the green one. No, the red one and the yellow one. How about that? Red and yellow. Now, if you want to use your scissors, you can. I guess I should have waited, but if you want to use your scissors, you can. Poke a hole in there. I did it this way because I didn't want no extra bulk on that white cardstock. These brads are a little bit thicker and I was afraid it would add bulk. But on the longer Celebrate, we're going to use our red brad. And you want to kind of make sure it's centered. You may have to lower it just a little bit. I'm going to actually lower that hole a little bit more so I can center it. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. And then I'm going to flip this around. It went through the foam and that's okay. I'm going to open up these prongs. And if you see a little bit overhanging, you can always trim off the prong there. Okay, and then that is good to go for now. We're going to do the same thing with our yellow. I think this one's a little bit more centered. Add that. You can see here. It went through the fun foam. You can use your scissors or you can use a craft pick. I didn't mention you need the craft pick for this classroom, but you could use your scissors. And then you'll open up these prongs. And if there's a little overhanging, you can just trim those off. And I'm not worried about it going over the release paper because we can always go around that. So those are our brads. Now, we're going to open up our second goodie bag here, which I'm glad we included this because we can actually use this to keep our sequins in. And then we have extra. I have some extra from lesson number 1, so I'm going to use those. But any extra I'm going to keep in my little Ziploc bag. Now, we're going to layer these 2 circles together that were in that package. I'm going to flip, well, you don't have to really flip it around. It's just white cardstock. But add your white circle to your pattern paper. Once we have this adhered, we can go ahead and take some of our foam squares and our presents, and we're going to kind of create a little trio of presents. I'm going to take my green bow present, add adhesive behind here, and we'll place this maybe a little bit. I want it so my stripes are at a diagonal. So place your stripes at a diagonal and then position your presents. I'm not going to press down just yet because I might want to play with the placement a little bit more. We'll add our bright pink present. I think we're going to go down here. And then we get one more foam square. And we can add our third present in a little cluster. I'm going to raise this up just a little bit. I think that looks good. Okay, now I'm going to flip over our cardstock and then we're going to add some foam squares behind here. If you want to add more than 3, I did add extra foam adhesive to lesson number 1. We have the spinny left over from lesson number 1. You could use those, or we have leftover fun foam too. You could use that behind the circle. Now I'm going to add my circle, and I'm going to add it in this bottom corner here, kind of covering up the other half of our V. I think that looks good. I'm going to remove the release paper off of our the longest Celebrate. And when you remove it, the release paper will go kind of behind the brad, so you can just peel that away. This one's going to go about 1/2 inch from the very top of the card base. And it's going to go the length of your red pattern paper here. So you want to make sure it's kind of centered. We'll add that. And then we'll take our smaller banner, Celebrate. Just remove the release paper. And then we'll add this one just below our first Celebrate. Making sure it's straight. The grid lines will actually help you keep it straight. Okay, I think that looks fun so far. Now we have a lot of different textures. Now we have our little sparkled stars. We're going to flip them to the back side so it's just that matte white cardstock showing. We're going to add our small foam squares to these. We'll remove the release paper and we'll add one on the green. And then one overhanging here. I think that's a good spot. And then our last one we can add over here in that corner. I think that's a good spot. Now we have our extra present. I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to it and stick this on the inside of our card in this bottom corner. But that's a good use. And then we're going to add some sequins. Let's use our glue. And I'm just going to add them around our presents. We'll add one there. We'll tuck one over here. And then we'll put one, I think we'll put one down here. We'll tuck one underneath there. Let's use our little picker-up pencil. Let me know if this is working out for you. If you guys have used the wax pencils before and if you like them. I kind of like them. I don't like that the pencil, the wax broke when I sharpened it to a sharp point, but I like it. I think it works out great. I have a sequin left over, so I'm just going to put that back in my bag. Oops. I guess I had a couple of them left over. Okay. And then that finishes off lesson number 2. Our Celebrate card. I love all the textures in here and a little bit of sparkle, and I think this card would be great for anyone. Thanks for joining me for lesson 2 for the Celebration Station Classroom. I will see you same time, same place next Friday. I kind of like saying that. Same time, same place next Friday. Have a wonderful rest. Have a wonderful weekend. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.